All right, so we're going to continue on with the last example. This you have to work out step by step. I do have the rational root theorem there. Go step by step because in this case here we're going to be repeating that root theorem twice. Here we cannot factor anything out. There's no number you can factor out. There's no x you can factor out. There is roots. We have to look for it. So in this case here we have to first find the rational root theorem. We have to go with number 1. Find factors of c. Factors of c is 4, which is 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. 2 is repeating, but we're only going to be using it once. So it's plus or minus 1, 2, and 4. So that's our first numerator there. We divide it by the factors of the leading coefficient. Leading coefficient is 3. Factors of 3 is 1 and 3. That's the only ones there. So therefore have plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3. Then we go ahead and divide. So plus or minus 1 divided by 1, 1. 1 divided by 3, 1/3. 2 divided by 1, 2. 2 divided by 3, 2/3. 4 divided by 1 is 4. And 4 divided by 3 is 4/3. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 12 different types of answers that you can use for synthetic division. So here, I went and I did 3 of them. The book has the chart there because they did it on their own, but I did want to show you how they found each one. Now, these are the options that we're going to be using for synthetic division. So, again, there are 12 different answers that you can use. I'm going to start with the whole numbers. The whole numbers are a lot easier. Now, if you look here, we're starting with the plus or minus 1. I did synthetic division here, so all of that is here. So that's the 1. You bring the first down. You have your 3. Then you multiply 1 times 3, you get 3. You add. Then you multiply this number times this number. Then you add. You multiply this times this. Then you add. And then again. So here, our last number was negative 24. This is not a factor. So we can't be using that 1 there. Let's go on to the next one. 2. Synthetic division. So go step by step. And I went through here, you drop down, you multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, and therefore you get, what is this, 98, negative 98, and that is not a factor. The last one I used, no, what is this one? Last one I used is the 4, and if you looked at the 4, again, these numbers are all the coefficients, the 3, the negative 5, the negative 29, the 3, and the 4. The 3 you bring down, then you multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, and you get a 0. When you get a 0, that means that is a factor of this equation here. So that means your answer is x minus 4 times, you're working backwards, so your constant, your x squared, and your x cubed. So it's going to be 3x cubed plus 7x minus x minus 1. So exactly how you have here, these are your coefficients for your new answer. Now, if you look at this could be simplified even more. Now we have to work and do the same thing what we did over there. We have x plus 4, which will be left to the side, but now we're going to be focusing on this polynomial here. I'll just leave it there. We have our constant, which is 1. Factors of 1 is just 1. And then the factors of your c, or your a, your first term, your leading coefficient is 1 and 3. So then you're going to have plus or minus 1 over, that's your factors of c, over your factors of your leading coefficient. Your leading coefficient is 1 and 3. So now your answers that you can choose is 1 divided by 1 is 1. 1 divided by 3 is 1 over 3. That means you have 4 possible answers. Positive 1, negative 1, positive 3, positive 1/3, negative 1/3. Here, going through the whole list, I finally used negative 1/3, and negative 1/3 ended up being a factor. And I have this here. You can pause it and look at the work and see what I've done. But again, I've done a couple of synthetic divisions. If I go to the end, now I have a 0, meaning that negative 1/3 is now a factor. Remember, it's always x minus a. In this case, it's going to be x minus negative 1/3. So then it's going to be x plus 4, the number that we have from the beginning. We can't forget about that one. Times, me simplifying this here, which is x plus 1/3, times 3x squared plus 6x minus 3. This can also be simplified right here by factoring out the 3. So when I factor out the 3, I get this plus this, or this times 3 times x squared minus 2x minus 1. The last step is the trinomial. You can always factor out trinomials. Why are we doing all of this? Because we're trying to find what x actually is. You can't stop there because we're not trying to factor as much as we can. We want to find what x really is. We use quadratic formula. I would recommend you doing that on your paper on the side, because when you do quadratic formula, you end up with x plus 1 plus 2 plus radical 2, and x plus 1 minus radical 2, meaning if you use a quadratic formula, you'll have two answers. X is equal to negative 1 plus 2, plus radical 2, and negative 1 minus radical 2, but including all these 4. So now you have 4 possible roots that they're looking for. Go step by step with these. Pause my video, see what I'm doing. Don't just think, I don't understand this. Look at your book and go step by step. And I have a lot of work up on the board, but I hope that you take the time to learn each and every one of these. You will have about 1 or 2 in your homework problem. Thank you.